Hi, I'm Elaine Harding. Welcome to my blog at stampwithelaine.com. Today I am using an emboss resist technique to colour the Fragrant Flowers image. This is the card we're making today, and this is the stamp set called Fragrant Flowers and the dies to match. New to Stampin' Up, they are now offering both the stamps in the red rubber or photopolymer. They're both at the same price, but this one is the red rubber, and then you can also order it in photopolymer, but they are different code numbers, so just be careful which one you're ordering, which number you're putting in. The other items I need to create the card is the 2 Editions embossing kit. So you need Versamark ink, the embossing buddy and the metallics embossing powder, as well as the white embossing powder. Now if you purchase the Fragrant Flowers stamp set, there are coordinating papers which are free in the celebration brochure, and that's on page 11. Now in fact the papers were too dark for my project, so I actually used another celebration product, which was the bumper pack with a £90 spend. That's the option here, so you can get that free with a £90 purchase, and there are 48 sheets for each of 12 double-sided designs. I'm using quite a lot of inks, so I'm using Calypso Coral and Petal Pink for the flower, and 3 different shades of greens for the leaves. So it's Pear Pizzazz, Old Olive and Soft Sea Foam. You need scraps of Petal Pink and Soft Sea Foam to die cut the large leaf, the small leaf and this sprig. The elegant faceted gems to decorate with. The water painters too. These come in a pack of 3 with a fine tip, a medium tip and a large flat tip. The other item I need is some crumb cake baker's twine, which is part of the Essentials baker's twine pack. It comes in 5 colours and this is one of them. You also need a small blending brush. This is the new one. It's smaller than the normal size one, which is this size here. You can see the difference. This vellum paper is called Vellum Basics. They're 12 by 12 inch sheets, and they are specialty vellums, and they've got 3 designs on it. There's a stripe, a dotty one and a leafy one, and I'm using the stripes, and this has been cut at 3 inches by 5 inches, which is 7.5 by 12.5 centimeters. We also need just a plain sheet of vellum that's been cut at 2 inches by 3 3/4 inches, so that's 5 centimeters by 9.5 centimeters. You also need a strip of shimmery white cardstock to emboss on. The card front was cut with the Dandy Designs free designer series paper with a £90 spend. That measures the same size as the card front. Cut it larger and then trim it down as you need it. The card base is Petal Pink, and that's the standard size, 5 7/8 by 8 1/4, and in metric that will be 14.5 by 21 centimeters. And for the inside of the card you need basic white, and this has been cut 3 3/4 by 5 1/2. That's 9.5 by 14 centimeters. To start with, we're going to be gluing this series paper to the card front. Trim off the excess. Bottom of the vellum will be covered up, so I'm going to run a bit of Stamp and Seal on the bottom to secure it on the bottom. So bring in my Stamparatus, and I'm going to use the dust buddy to rub all over the cardstock to prevent static. And the reason I've put it on the Stamparatus plate is because we're using Versamark ink. Versamark ink is transparent, so it's very difficult to see where you've stamped. But if you put it on the Stamparatus, you can stamp it, move it down a couple of hinges, stamp it again, and then repeat the process. Now I need 3, so I'll go ahead and ink this up and stamp. You probably won't be able to see it from this camera angle with the light on it, and the beauty is that if you're not sure whether the ink has taken all over, you can stamp it again and it will be stamped in exactly the same position. Bring in my embossing powder. Now heat set it. There is a thing of overheating it, so as soon as you see it change and become white, then move the heat tool along. Now we're going to gold emboss the plain vellum. So put the embossing buddy all round it again, right into the corner. Ink it up with Versamark ink. This time I want to sprinkle it with gold embossing powder. Oh bother, I forgot to record, but I've just embossed it. Turn it on its back, and I'm just going to hide the glue behind the lettering. Centre it on there. Now we want to do a bit of watercolouring. I'm protecting my surface with the silicone mat. Put a glass of water to the side to wet my brush with, and then I'll wet the paper first and start to colour. Those are my 3 shades of green for the leaves and the flowers. Now with these water painters, there is a raised embossed word there that says push, so this is where you can squeeze the barrel to wet the brush with, but I'm just going to wet it with my brush in a glass of water rather than do that. And just remember that these brushes open in the opposite direction. Instead of lefty loosey, righty tighty, it's the opposite. So if you want to undo it, you turn it to the left, and then if you want to do it up, you turn it to the right. Okay? So I'm going to wet the paper first. Use an acrylic block to pick up your ink. We'll set that aside to dry while we stamp the friend here. Stamp that in Calypso Coral. And we'll need to cut this with the larger of the 2 little rectangles. And I'll do that off camera. And I'm also going to be using this die to emboss this with. Then I'll use this smaller blending brush to just blend this little corner down here. glue this to the inside of the card. I've cut off a length which is probably about 18 inches, and then tie a bow. Now this is dry enough, I'll go and die cut that off camera. So there are all my elements. I can start now assembling the card. I'm going to use the lightest one and attach it with a glue dot directly onto the vellum. Change my mind. So this one is on dimensionals. And I want to put the leaf on here first. Make sure that stays down and anchor it with a glue dot. Oopsie, I've done it again. I forgot to press record. Some dimensionals on the back, and then I can stick that underneath here. Put a glue dot on there and stick that on. Attach the baker's twine to a glue dot, and then I can stick it down here. Trim this down a bit because it's too long. Then I can add these gems. I'm going to put that on the corner to help stick down the vellum. I want some flat ones. One, two, three, 4, 5. That'll be it. It's an odd number. So there you have it, an embossed resist card, and that's the inside. I hope you've enjoyed today's tutorial. You can find me on Facebook, Pinterest or Instagram. If you'd like to read more, you can hop over to my blog. The link is below. All the supplies are listed below as well. Thanks for joining me today, and I'll be back soon with more inspiration. If you haven't subscribed yet, then do hit the subscribe button so you don't miss any future episodes. Thanks for watching. Bye.